All right, so we got the brake booster here for the S13, and just to show you guys, I'm basically going to push it against the wall here, and you can see that it fully comes out. We'll test it when the old one comes out. Hopefully, if everything goes well, we're going to be able to remove the master cylinder because it's no longer got hard lines on it. We should be able to just pull the master cylinder just out towards us, and we won't have to re-bleed the system. Fingers crossed. I don't know for a fact, but hopefully that's how it's going to work. Yeah, this thing is gross inside. Like, this is all got residue on it. Go ahead and hit the brakes. Are you off of it? All right, so that's with it released. You see it's stuck. Go ahead and pull it back with your foot. Yeah, so definitely a bad booster. Andrew has found the forbidden Thai tea. Well, I guess he poured. Oh, nope. There we go. Ew, that is kind of gross. I don't know what this is from or why, but it's definitely not. Pretty sure that's not normal. So the only thing that I can think of is that this car did blow a head gasket a while back. So I wonder. Well, I guess that doesn't make sense because why it wouldn't be in the intake manifold. Yeah. It definitely smells like coolant though. Okay, so everything's back together, and I think that we found out what the problem was. So I started looking, and I noticed that there's not a check valve on the brake hose here. So there's supposed to be a check valve on here. So I'm thinking that maybe condensation, or when the car had a blown head gasket, or both, that we got fluid into the brakes. Now I spoke to the owner, and keep in mind that he's actually, like, when this car came here, it was boosted, but he never really drove it. He said that when the car was still NA, there would be times where he would like stab on the brakes real hard, and the car would act like it would want to die, which makes sense that because there's not a check valve. Now the other good thing is now that this old brake booster is out, the car actually doesn't smoke. So when we got the car started the other day, it was billowing out smoke, and we couldn't figure out why. Like, I mean, it was like fogging out smoke. But as you can see, it's actually calmed down, and this looks like normal condensation type smoke now. So that's a really good sign. Obviously the brake lights are on, but Andrew's working on getting a bolt into the brake switch, but I've got high hopes for it now. So we got the S13 strapped down on the dyno. As you can see, we went to go test drive it yesterday after we got done fixing the brakes, and the car just stalled and died. And it was actually out of gas. The fuel level doesn't work, surprise, surprise. But then it also had another problem, and this problem we actually saw before. So this trigger kit is kind of a mix and match deal. Someone else made this bracket, and we made the trigger wheel to the ATI damper. And so what's going on is that you basically would drive and you'd get on it, and once you got up to like a decent amount of speed, the car would shut off, and it would give us an error for like missing trigger, or trigger tooth, missing tooth in the wrong spot. So this trigger wheel here has a missing tooth down here, and so we had it all set up and it was working, and then yesterday it did the exact same thing. So if you look here, we've got 2 O'Reilly's gift cards, and you can see that the gap is basically 2 cards. So that's a little bit too much. This gap should actually only be 1 plastic card, so we've got double that. So you can see here that we've got a little bit of play. So I don't know, because I didn't have my laptop hooked up. So we've got it strapped down to the dyno, and I'm going to check it out today to see if we can get that error again. Now, in the event that we do get that error, I do have a universal Hall effect sensor here. As you can see, it's got 2 mounting nuts, and we can basically adjust it from there. The good news is that when I wired this kit up, I had already installed a DT connector here, so it should be relatively cut and dry for me to wire this one up. Okay, so we got everything together. I couldn't find a place for the knock sensor, so I just threw it right here on the head. Not the best place to put it, but there's kind of nowhere else to do it, so that's where it's going. I've got the laptop set up. We're just kind of waiting for it to get the operating temperature. I've kind of looked over a few things. So the owner told me that we had only tuned it on pump gas, wastegate only, because the flex fuel sensor wasn't working. I did find a flex fuel sensor in the trunk, And I took a look at the flex fuel on the ECU, and that is all working. So it seems like we had fixed that at one point in time. So now I'm just waiting for it to get to operating temp here, and then we'll go ahead and we'll do a pull. I've already got the dyno calibrated for the car, so we're going to be doing 4th gear pulls in this car. Okay, so first run we hit cut. Our cut was set at 220 kPa, and we're already seeing we saw 240 kPa, so something's definitely not right there. So I'm gonna let it cool down, and then we'll kind of give it a once over and see what's going on. Okay, so we got it worked out. We basically bypassed the boost control altogether. What we're going to try to do now is we're just going to do another run and see, hopefully nothing freaks out on us. All right, what now? Okay, so we got boost down, but then it popped really hard, and then it died. Okay, so right at 5,000 RPMs, we got a missing tooth error. So that's definitely our problem, which explains why we got that massive backfire, because it just doesn't know when to spark. So probably our problem there. So fortunate enough that it happened on the dyno and nowhere else. But yeah, so it looks like we got it while cranking as well here. So this is right as it's cranking. You can see the unexpected missing tooth error again. Okay, so as you can see now it's running again, and we're just gonna let it run and idle here. So there could be a chance that the bracket is moving and causing it, and that's why we don't really see that idle, and we only see it like at cranking or high loads. Okay, so I played for about an hour on getting the trigger setup redone. Hopefully it works. I don't know if it does or not. So what we're gonna try now is we're just gonna do another pass and see what happens. Okay, it's actually good to go here. It's just stupid pig rich. So if we look at where the car starts to fall off 5,500 RPMs, but if you look, I'm going to scroll backwards slowly, you'll see that we don't ever get an issue with the crank signal. So hopefully this is fixed now. Now I can't say for sure, but I think it is. So what we're going to do now is, if you look at it, you're going to see that it is like grossly rich. So we're gonna go ahead and start bringing the fuel back down here. It's a little over 14 or 15 pounds of boost here, I think. So we're skirting the edge of where boost cut is set at, which is 220. Well, I don't know if you saw it in my face, but there was like a really pungent smell. Clutch. So I'm starting to smell clutch already. We haven't been able to make like even like a full complete pull here. And it's still pretty rich, but the clutch probably is not gonna make it. We're only at 14 pounds of boost, haven't really touched any timing. I don't know what clutch is in here, but it grabs really, really high at the very top, and it always has. So I think and plus now that we have that smell, probably clutch not grabbing as well as it should be. So here's our like first run of the day. I think you can see that we got that weird cut stuff here, but you can see that the pool looks pretty good here. And if we go to our latest run, so is that out there, you can see that it's basically getting progressively worse here. So you can see that there's like this huge drop off, and it's not even, yeah, it's not even anywhere crazy, 4,700 RPMs or so. So like I said, I just want to get a good solid run out of this, but it's not looking good at this point. So every run that we have had has basically ended around 5,000 RPMs. Limiter set at 7,200. I'm gonna let it cool down. That way we can give this clutch its best chance at survival, and we'll try to make a solid run. All right, I adjusted the clutch pedal just now. Gave it a couple turns just to bring the pedal down, see if that fixes anything. I don't have a lot of high hopes, but I gotta at least say that I tried to do it. Straight clutch. Looks like we were able to wrap it out this time a little bit further, 5,500 or so before I shut it down, but it's definitely the clutch. Something's going on with the clutch here. It's just not grabbing. Okay, so here's how I know that the clutch is not grabbing. We're gonna look at this run here, and you'll see that our max RPM is basically 6,700 RPMs is what we're gonna say. Okay, let's see if we can find that here. 6,800 RPMs is basically the max. We can see that here, right? If we go over to the dyno though, you'll see that the dyno speed RPM reading is 5,500 RPMs or so, 55, 56, okay? So let's see, 50, 52. So here's what's going on. What's going on is that in order for the dyno to know what the RPM is, we have to calibrate it. So we set the car at a certain speed, and I'm sure you guys have seen this in a couple other videos, but for those who haven't, basically we tell the dyno, you know, this gear, this speed is 3,000 RPMs. Then we lock it and the brake will resist it, and then, you know, we lock it in at 3,000 RPMs. That's done, that's called a two-step calibration, and it's supposed to factor in your tire expansion, okay? But because it revs up so quickly and the clutch isn't grabbing, this wheel is not spinning one-to-one. So thusly the dyno reads less RPM than that. The only other thing is that we have a massive amount of tire slip. That's not the case because the tires are actually, and they're a bit old, but there's a ton of tread on them. And you can see that there's a lot of tire dust. So it's definitely not the tires slipping. So unfortunately that is that. There's not much else I can do. Clutch is for sure slipping. No adjustment can fix it. It's real unfortunate because we've made quite a bit of progress here, but it's always something with this car, specifically this car. So I guess we are back to the drawing board, and we'll call this one a day.